Hello, good day everyone. Today we'll be discussing about the cognitive information processing theory by Atkinson and Shiffrin. So firstly, we'll have to introduce you the two psychologists who were to study this and conduct this theory, and then we will be discussing the brief background of the proponents, and then mainly we will be discussing what the topic or the theory is all about. So please listen for the following. We will be discussing it fully. So, who is Richard Atkinson and Richard Shiffrin? Atkinson and Shiffrin were both American psychologists and cognitive scientists who developed the cognitive information processing theory in 1968. They were also the one responsible for the development and making of the Atkinson-Shiffrin model of memory. So, what is the theory all about? The Cognitive Information Processing Theory, or the CIPT, explains how individuals process and store information. It describes the flow of information from sensory input to long-term memory, emphasizing attention, encoding, and rehearsal.
For everyone. So now we tackle the components and content of the theory of cognitive information nila Shiffrin at Atkinson. So first we have the sensory memory. Sensory memory is a very short-term storage for information from the senses. It persists briefly and allows for processing even after the stimulus has ended. It allows you to retain brief impression of information so you can interpret and interact with other worlds around you. Ito, pwede itong memory na to ay sabi nga sensory, so means yung mga senses natin like visual, yung sa hear, then sa touch. First sa types niya, for example sa visual sensory memory, when a person quickly glances at the scene, they retain a fleeting visual impression of it. Like sa school, for activity, teacher bibigay ng or magpapakita ng flash ng mga pictures sa harapan, then for a second tatanggal niya to, then itatanong siya kung ano yung mga na-retain sa isip natin for short time or a second, na yon pinapakita na ano yung nakita mo dun sa may part ng visual. So yun yung nakita mo dun, yun lang yung maaalala mo, ganun siya. Then ganun din sa hearing, kung ano yung sa dami-dami, kunyari pinagbasa kayo, ganun, ano yung tatanong, ano yung word na mas naalala mo, ganun. Parang syempre hindi mo naman kailangan balikan, or yung mga na gusto mo lang na word yung maalala mo. Then ganoon din sa touch, or haptic memory, or memory for touch sensation, yung activity na nararamdaman mo yung coin na nakapikit ka, yun yung sensory memory. So going for the short-term memory naman, dito sabi niya na short-term memory is a component of memory that holds a small amount of information in an active, readily available state for a brief period, typically a few seconds to a minute. Dito, hindi lang short term, so means saglitan lang. For ito ay the duration of STM seems to be between 15 to 30 seconds, na dun lang nag-stay yung mga naalala mo. Gawin lang kaikli mo siya maalala. Then dito, yung kaya mo lang maalala 7 or plus 2 items lang yung mga maalala mo, for review, ganun. Konti lang yung papasok sa isip mo. Short storage lang siya, hindi siya pamalawakan. Kung ano lang yun lang yun, then makalimutan mo na agad. Kaya, punta na tayo agad sa long-term memory. Dito, sinasabi na it's the continuous storage of information. Hindi gaya sa short term na kukunti lang ito. Unlimited siya. Kundi pwede mo siyang magamit for a year or a month or a week, ganun. Hindi siya nag-last lang for 15 to 30 seconds sa isip mo, kundi pwede mo siyang gamitin for a week or days. Yun. Doon naman tayo next for encoding. Dito sabi niya, the process through which information is converted into a form that can be entered into a memory. Ito, connection siya sa short-term memory to encode for para mas makuha mo siya for the long-term memory. Parang you need to encode parang for blind map, ganun, or for kung saan ito na example na visual encoding na yung color coding ng mapa for to identify which country, kung ano yon na maalala mo sa isip mo na yung kulay yung red ay China. Then, kapag wala nang kung ituturo na yon or nakikita mo na kulay red, so maiisip mo, magagamit mo yung short-term memory mo na, ay, di ba naalala mo nun, kaya pupunta siya ng long-term, then, yun na, China pala yun. So, next, attention. Sa attention naman, yun yung part ng sensory memory to short term, yung papunta siya doon, which is selective attention has been defined as a cognitive mechanism that allows for selection and processing of tasks relevant information which filtering out distraction information. Dito, hindi para iset yung attention mo for isang bagay lang, hindi yung maramihan. Kailangan mo mag-focus sa isa to remember yung ano yung nire-review. Kunyari, so may subject na i-take natin ngayon or meron tayo major and minor. So, sa isang subject, kailangan mo mag-focus for kunyari may quiz or exam bukas na isang subject. You need the attention to review that subject. Kunyari, Prof Ed 1. Kailangan natin ng attention to focus that one kasi for subject siya. Kailangan natin mag-review, ganun. Yun yung attention. So, move for rehearsal. Dito, sinasabi na rehearsal. This rehearsal means the mental repetition of incoming information. One consequence of rehearsal is that input items spend an extended period of time in short-term memory storage yan. Dito, parang kailangan mo lang i-rehearse yung bagay na andun sa short-term memory mo na paulit-ulit, then mapupunta ka sa long-term memory mo para yung pag-rehearse mo na yun, magiging long-term memory mo na siya kasi paulit-ulit mo siya nasa isip. Kaya, mag-sine siya for a month, a days, ganun, or even a year. Then, yun yung rehearsal. Kaya mo lang mag-rehearse to retain the past knowledge na nakuha mo na. Dito, number sa retrieval, dito sabi niya, access to inform from LTM. Dito, without rehearsal, we retain information in STM for only few seconds. But with the repetition of rehearsal, the information can be retained for several minutes and may be consolidated into long-term memory. Ito yung sasabi ko kanina, parang sa rehearsal lang siya na kailangan mo lang ulit-ulitin to retain to STM to LTM na kailangan mo lang mag-ulit-ulit. Then, retrieval, access to inform from LTM. Ngayon, kailangan mo lang mag-access for STM ay long term to masasabi mo siya. Kunyari, there's oral content for long term na nagbasa-basa ka nun to you rehearse, then attention for oral quiz, ganun. Kailangan mo lang magsabi, then maalala mo, tatanungin ka kung ano yung nangyari sa part na to, anong ginawa ni sa part na to, ganun. Yung maalala mo siya agad. Kaya yun, dito pinapakita yung components or content of the theory. Dito meron akong papakita na part. Ito yung saan ba umiikot yung concept or dun. Dito yung sensory memory ng attention or to become STM. Kasi nga yung sensory memory is short lang siya. Parang mas short pa siya sa short-term memory. Parang a glance mo lang siya makikita ganun, or a second lang. Kasi sa short-term, di ba, 15 or 30 seconds siya. So dito parang segundo lang, 1. Parang ganun, tapos na. Kaya makakalimutan mo agad. Sa STM naman, you transfer to LTM. Yun nga, magkakonect sila kanina. Or encoding. Then, retrieval dun sa long-term memory to short-term. Parang kukunin mo siya. Then, rehearsal to retain yung sa may long-term. Parang ganun din sa long-term memory to short-term. Kailangan mo mag-rehearse kung ano yung nasa na prior knowledge mo nun. Kasi yun, lahat, wait lang, ay hindi natin maalala. At mawawala din yung mga, parang nagdi-delete din tayo. Yan lang yung part sa cognitive
But of
or
course, criticisms
components.
and limitations can never be avoided. In this theory, it oversimplifies complex cognitive processes, doesn't account for parallel processing, limited explanation of emotional and motivational factors. It ignores the role of prior knowledge and context, doesn't address individual differences in cognitive abilities, and lacks empirical support for some components. So there are also implications of the theory to education and teaching. One is that it emphasizes naturalistic language learning approaches. It focuses on linguistic structures and rules, and it provides opportunities for authentic language use. So as we are aware, language use is very important to communicate, and with this, there are more opportunities. We may understand more. Encourage self-directed language learning, recognize individual differences in language learning abilities. It incorporates technology-enhanced language learning tools. Chomsky believed that it was more than a coincidence that the majority of human language follows similar rules and patterns when it comes to grammar. He believed that while differences exist between languages, the fact that they all share core common grammatical traits was not just a chance occurrence. So, how could language from across the globe share core grammatical features? So, in conclusion, the nativism theory highlights the importance of innate abilities in language development. Language development is important because language connects all and controls the person that uses it. It may give you the ability to understand more what's happening around you. While it has limitations, its implications for education emphasize that the need of naturalistic language learning approaches and recognition of the individual differences. Teachers also may apply these principles to create effective language instruction strategies. So, as a teacher, you must learn to strategize techniques. So, in order to do this theory will allow you to learn more about it.
So hi there peeps, I hope you're all having a good day. So at this point or in this report, we are going to discuss about the language development of Noam Chomsky. And first, I am going to share some of his personal backgrounds or who he is, and then I am going to discuss about how did he come up or how did he came up with his theory, and what are the terms and points to remember about this language development theory. And also I am going to discuss about some of its criticisms and right criticisms and also and lastly, yeah, its implication or why it is important now or why does it matter now, and how did it help future educators and future theologians in developing their studies or their theologies that applies in the present time.
Language is vital as it serves as the foundation of communication, enabling individuals to connect, share ideas, and preserve culture across generations. And with that, I guess let's start the discussion about the nativism theory of language development proposed by Noam Chomsky. But first, as I have said a while ago, let's discuss or let's share. I'm going to share some of Noam Chomsky's personal background. Noam Chomsky's full name is Avram Noam Chomsky, and he was born on December 7, 1928. He is an American linguist, philosopher, cognitive scientist, historian, social critic, and political activist. Sometimes he was also described as the father of modern linguistics and one of the founders of the field of cognitive science. Chomsky is credited as the creator or co-creator of Universal Grammar Theory, the Generative Grammar Theory, the Chomsky Hierarchy, and the Minimalist Program. Okay, so now let's move on sa theory or the nativism theory of language development ng proponent na si Noam Chomsky. I hope na nagigets niyo na from the term nativism or from the root word native, ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon ay yung native or natural way on how we humans acquire knowledge or kung paano ay acquire language, kung paano tayo natuto na isalita yung lengguaheng ginagamit natin. So, if you read what's on the PowerPoint presentation, there are two facilitator of the language development, which are the Language Acquisition Device or LAD and the Universal Grammar or UG. Ang LAD, it is a hypothetical tool hardwired into the brain that helps children rapidly learn and understand language, while Universal Grammar or UG is a common grammatical building blocks that all languages share in common or share, or what they call this, inborn or natural or innate. Ayan. Those are the similar words that can describe the UG. Okay, so let's go with the LAD. Ang LAD, ito ay isang theoretical concept. Baka iniisip natin na parang memory card sa phone ang LAD, hindi. Na may device talaga, hindi. Walang nakaprint sa isip natin na or sa brain natin na sinasabing language acquisition device. Wala siyang nakasulat na ganon. Rather, LAD, it is used to explain what are most likely hundreds or thousands of underlying processes that we humans have in our brains that have evolved to make us particularly exceptional at learning and understanding language. Ngayon, dumako naman tayo sa Universal Grammar or the UG. Ano nga ba ito? Gamit yung LAD, eto na yung tamang gamit ng grammar na alam na natin gamitin kung mga salita, kung ang mga ito ba ay past tense, present tense, or future tense. Upon reading or upon researching about his theory, nadaanan ko or nabasa ko yung debate, once a debate sa theory na to, which is the nature over nurture, na for Chomsky, we naturally learned instead of being nurtured when it comes to language. Para sa mas malalim na pag-uusap or talakayan patungkol sa LAD, sa bawat bata na isisilang, meron na ito, parang meron ng innate na fundamental rules for language sa utak natin na naiintindihan na natin yung rules ng language. Ang kailangan lang ng mga bata ay to acquire the vocabulary. Kailangan lang nilang matutunan yung mga salita. Ang halimbawa na lamang neto ay yung parang naiintindihan na ng isang bata na, or tayong mga tao, parang bago pa man tayo magsalita, ay naiintindihan daw natin yung structure ng subject, verb, at object. Parang alam na natin yon. Alam na dito sa isip natin, parang alam na natin yon. Bawa na lamang nito, yung sa family, right? Bago pa man magsalita yung isang bata, with the critical age, within 0 to 2 years old, I guess, na hindi pa nagsasalita yung bata, 'di ba? Yung mga words na naririnig niya from his immediate family or kung sino yung mga nakakasama niya sa loob ng bahay, yun yung nagre-register sa LAD. And kapag magsasalita na siya, alam niya na kung saan niya gagamitin yon. Kaya yung nasabi ko kanina na the present tense, the past tense, and the future tense, na halimbawa na lang kung tatanungin mo yung bata na kumain ka na ba, ang sasabihin niya, opo, kumain na po ako. Hindi niya sasabihin na, opo, kakain po ako, 'di ba? 'Di ba yung usually na na-observe na isang example na nagsusupport or isang evidence na nagsusupport sa theory ni Chomsky. Ito, makikita natin dito sa halimbawa, dito sa PowerPoint. Ito yung input. Ito yung primary linguistic data, the adult speech. Ito yung mga naririnig mula sa mga adults or yung mga nasa loob ng tahanan. And ito naman yung LAD, gamit ng LAD, the General Language Learning Principles, which is innate sa mga tao, sa atin, kapag nung isinilang tayo. And this is the universal grammar or the grammatical knowledge of the rules. And kapag magsasalita na yung bata, ito na yung output, child speech. Ito na, magsasalita na siya, alam na niya kung paano magsalita or isalita yung language na yon. Dako naman tayo ngayon sa criticisms and limitations of the theory. Just like any other theory, pareho, yung iba dito pareho sa mga na-discuss na theories, pareho lang din. Halimbawa na lamang dito sa number 1, the overemphasis of the innate abilities and neglecting the environmental factors, na nag-focus lang si Noam Chomsky sa kakayahan ng tao at nineglect niya or hindi niya kinonsider yung mga environmental factors. Some of these factors may perhaps poverty, or paano ba yung tahimik ba sa isang lugar o may mga wars. Kasi I suppose those can affect the learning on language. And secondly, fails to account for language variations and exceptions, na porket lahat ng language ay may noun at verb, parang generalize na niya yung theory niya na para sa lahat ng language, na hindi niya inisip yung pagkakaiba ng mga languages na ito. Kasi lalo na ngayon na madami ng umuusbong na language or madaming umusbong na language. And thirdly, the lacks kulang ng empirical evidence for the universal grammar and LAD. Kasi yung sa mga nabanggit ko nga, based sa mga nabanggit kong examples which are also given sa mga researchers, kulang, parang hindi sapat daw according to critics, hindi daw sapat ang mga ebidensyang yun na magpapatunay para sa theory niya sa dalawang factors or dalawang facilitators, which are the universal grammar and the LAD. And number 4, it doesn't explain language acquisition in deaf or language impaired individuals. Eto, sa physical characteristic, hindi niya kinonsider. Isa yun na hindi niya kinonsider kung paano din natututo yung mga bingi or yung mga bulag kasi like sa mga bulag sa bulag and bingi, like they learn in a different way, not compared to us na normal people. Now, for the deaf, di ba, they use sign language. Paano masasabing lahat ng tao may lat kung yung gamit ng mga bingi na tao sign language? And sa mga bulag naman, di ba, how they write is also in a different way. Lastly, it was criticized for being too broad and lacking testability, na parang masyadong malawak yung idea ni Noam Chomsky sa language acquisition, and also parang kulang pa siya sa test na mapapatunayang totoo nga, or his theory is applicable to all aspects. Further implications of the theory to education and teaching. First, we have here the emphasis of the naturalistic language and learning approaches, na kung saan teachers may use the natural language or the natural way para matuto tayo. Halimbawa na lang, yung regardless of the negative notion about the mother tongue, diba, we can learn in our own language. And also yung Filipino, like pwede tayong matuto sa sarili nating wika na ginagamit na pagtuturo sa mga paaralan. Isa pa yung focus on number 2, the focus on linguistic structures and rules, na nasa natural way we learn or natututo tayo sa structures and rules ng language. That's why we can apply in other languages. Halimbawa na lang sa pagkatuto natin sa wikang Ingles. Parang pareho lang ang number 3 dito sa number 1, kasi sabi niya his theory provide opportunities, or it opened up opportunities for authentic language use. Kasi nga, sa sarili nating wika, we can understand different things na kahit hindi natural sa atin yung mga bagay na yun, ngunit sa natural na pamamaraan, natututo tayo or nalalaman natin kung ano ang mga iyon. And it also encourage self-directed language learning, na dito sa encourage self-directed learning, meaning self-directed learning sometimes or most of the time it empowers students to take control of their own learning journey. Or in language learning, this means encouraging students to set personal goals, choose their learning materials, and find strategies that work best for them. This approach fosters motivation and resilience as students learn to take responsibility and actively seek out opportunities to practice and improve. For example, a self-directed learner might explore language learning apps, watch movies or shows in the target language, or even connect with native speakers. Teachers play a supportive role by providing guidance, resources, and feedback, while students develop a sense of autonomy, which can enhance long-term retention and fluency. And lastly, the recognizing individual differences in language learning abilities. Each learner has their unique abilities and styles when it comes to language acquisition. Factors like age, cognitive abilities, prior knowledge, learning pace, and cultural background can all influence how a student learns a new language. Recognizing these individuals Individual differences helps teachers tailor their instruction to meet varied needs, which can include using diverse activities, yung gumagamit sila ng iba't ibang activities na naka-align sa kakayahan or yun ng isang bata. Materials in assessment methods to cater to different strengths and challenges. For example, visual learners might benefit more from image-based vocabulary exercises, while others might thrive with conversation-based practice. Acknowledging and adapting to these differences can foster a more inclusive and